All right, I have turned on my record. Thank you for thank you for that. Looking right at the little thing that says hit record, dummy, and still. Okay, so let's get going here. What am I looking for? Get my paint really quick. I did not do that. Okay. So let's see. Where do we want to start? So we made quite a bit of progress on this. And I want to, let's see. I think what I want to do is kind of get some of this dark back here in. I want to drop some of that in. So I have these, you know, I have the road coming around. There's this break. You know, I have the two pine trees here. And I'm not going to worry about these yet because that one will probably be a foreground, you know, or kind of middle ground tree, kind of similar to these. But these three here will be, I don't know if you can see those. Those three will be, they'll be lighter and further back in space. But so I think I want to kind of push this back by making a fairly dark wash down in here and on either side of these trees. And that will help push this stuff forward here, push this all forward. And believe it or not, even though this is fairly dark, this is going to be quite a bit darker. So it's going to push this forward as well. So I'm going to take, let's see, I think I'm going to use my number 8 brush, I think, the 8 round. And I'm going to, let's see, I've got that same green that I mixed up over here. I've got that dark purple and the royal blue. And I think what I'm going to do is actually, I think this is it. Is that it? Yeah. I'm going to take the indigo right here. Didn't quite get enough water in there. There we go. And I'm gonna add that indigo over here to some of this. So I've got indigo. I want to add some indigo to my green over here, and I spilled some water on this earlier. That's why it's all wet looking like that. I'm going to add a little indigo to this dark purple to make it even a little more dark and blue. And I think that's what I'm going to start with. Pop in a little more. And then a little, don't get these wet at all. Some of them not so much. So I want to add just a bit more of that violet to it. And I'm going to start with that over here. And you'll remember I taped off this trunk. And these two trunks. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in there and lift some out later after this is dry. So I'm going to start with this purple, this dark purple that I've mixed. And I have to pay attention to the bottom of this tree, the kind of bottom, you know, leaves of that, and then the top of this bush. So I'm just kind of coming in somewhere in there like so. And if this isn't dark enough, let's see, I'm going to go grab a little just regular indigo, I think now. Maybe I'll mix in a little of the green. If this isn't dark enough later, it's okay. I can add dark, and I'll probably end up lifting out a little of that anyway. So let's get that. I just don't want. So I didn't. I need to start that sentence over. Sorry. I want this to be fairly dark, and it may not end up being dark enough. So I'll probably have to put another glaze on top of this of the dark. But I want to make sure that I have that purple kind of going across here. While that's still really wet, I went in and I started this sort of dark blue-green that I picked up here. And I want to make sure it's on both sides of this trunk too. I don't want purple stopping behind the trunk and then another color in front of the trunk. So I'm just going to think about how I want the top of this to look. I'm going to bring that down into there. And I think I'll go back in and grab just some green now. It's all, that was like mostly blue. I dropped in a little more green in a couple of spots. And it's a little hard to tell on camera, but I believe that will, well, I know it'll, once it dries, it'll be fun. Let's see, and then I'm going to switch over here. I just want to use that dark violet, I think, for now. I'm going to start with it. And I can leave little specks of white between this tree where I don't, maybe I want a little highlight or something to show up. And that's really all I'm doing here, just maybe we'll go back in this dark blue-green here. And really that's all that is. Just kind of put in that dark. And that'll, you can see that's automatically started pushing this and this forward just by putting that little bit of dark in there. And if it turns out it's not dark enough, like I said before, I can go back in and add some more on top of that once it dries. Real quickly, because I really probably should have done this one last week, but I'm going to do this tree right here. I'm going to start out. I switched over to my smaller number 6 brush because it starts off pretty small and then it doesn't get that big because it's behind. It sort of disappears behind this tree, so it's not going to be as large as this. So I don't need to worry about such a huge, filling a lot of space. So I'm going to use my smaller brush so I can get that nice fine point. And I'm going to start with, I think, some dark blue-green, which is that same blue-green that I mixed up over here, right here. And I'm going to roll my brush as I pick it up. So I have a nice little point. And I'm going to come back in with just using the point of my brush for now. There we go. Let's see, I need to make sure I have enough water in there. And let's switch over to this dark violet, which doesn't look that dark, or that violet. And I didn't wash my brush out, so It may be a little more gray, which is fine. Because this tree is back behind some stuff. But it also will help push this forward. Now, as I get down towards the top of this tree, I need to think about what I want the top of this tree shape to be. So like there, where I left this big blob of white, zoom in on that. I like that shape. It makes that look even different. So I'm just going to kind of sculpt the top of this tree with my brush. I know that I like that. So that was looking a little too uniform bumps there or something. So I want to. Yeah. So now I have that little tree there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and try. I kind of forgot, but I'm going to place a little opera at the top. I'm going to make that a little highlight. It's up here. I think I still have enough water, and if I don't, I can add some. Got that little highlight. Let me bring this down so you can see what I'm doing. Just a little bit of that, and then I'm going to put this opera paint, right there, and then I'm just going to add some more water and let it kind of do its thing. Run down in here. Yeah, I let that get a little dry, a little on the dry side, but shouldn't be too big a deal. I can even come in with some of this little bit of orange just to pick up some, just a highlight or two there in the. And that should do it. Yeah. Just add some more water, but you can see where I added that orange. It kind of made a nice little run there. So I have a nice dark tree, but it's also got some lights and color variation in it as well. And really, I'm just waiting for this to dry so I can see what's going on there. And so I'm going to paint these three trees, and I'm just going to use peacock blue for that. So I've got peacock blue right here. That's the paint that I like to use in the sky. Well, do I want to use peacock blue? Actually, what I'm going to do, I think, is use a little peacock blue, and I'm going to mix it with a little opera, just to give myself a pretty light kind of mauve, like, not mauve, what's the word? Well, kind of a periwinkle kind of color. Let's see if you can see. So this is peacock blue that I've added a little opera to. I'll put the peacock blue next to it so you can see the difference. See, that's a little bit brighter blue. This has a little more of a slight purple tint to it. Kind of a little periwinkle. So it grays it down a little bit. It makes it a little bit more neutral than just that bright blue or the bright opera. And all I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the same kind of technique, but it's just going to be let's see. It's just going to be just a single color because these are off kind of back in the distance a little bit. So just kind of using the tip and then every so often pressing down and using a bit more of the brush. You can see it's got that kind of kind of purpley gray look. So I'm going to do this next one. Bringing that down. And this just pushes them back in space a little bit because they're further away. They'll have the less color variation. They'll just look kind of hazy. And then I've got this third one right over here. A little more. Yeah. Just a switch color. Yeah. So I have those kind of, just hints of periwinkle, it's really kind of a periwinkle, I think. And those will just kind of be in the background. If I feel like they're a little too dark, I may just give it a minute. I may just have a bit too much paint. I can come back in with this toilet paper that's left over from doing a sky a couple weeks ago and just lift some of that back out, or I could use a thirsty brush. Any of those ways will work. Those just felt a little bit dark. Yeah. And this is close to dry, so. But I'm going to give that a few more minutes. So let's, I'm going to keep working on the road a little bit, I think. And let's see here. How do I want to? Trying to think here. How do I want to? And I think I'll deal with these rocks a little bit as well. Now this is going to be the sort of shadow side. So I want them to be a little bit darker. Or not a little bit, a fair amount darker than what I've got painted down there. So I think I will use my number, I'm going to move back to my number 8 brush. And I think I'm going to try out some of this. I've got this kind of dark purpley color right there. I think what I'm going to do is I also have burnt sienna right here. I'm going to get a little of that. I know the rocks, you know, in the photo are kind of red, but so I want a slight browny red tint to it. But so I have that, and then I want to take a little bit of this dark. Geez, I think it's better if I just put this. So I have my burnt sienna here, and I want to take a little bit of this kind of dark blue-green purple mess here. Maybe just a bit of that too. So that's the a little more purple right there. Take a little of that and make this kind of neutral color, which I think needs a little bit more burnt sienna. Just a touch more of that. And really, you know, if you have something like a burnt umber, that's going to be very similar to what I'm mixing here. I think I've mentioned that before. I mean, they're all kind of related. Ochre, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt umber. Those are all kind of related. Those are all kind of related and made from basically the same minerals. It's just how much they're cooked, basically. So it's all very similar. So there we just a bit more. There we go. So that's, yeah. That's, I think, what I've got, what I'm going to use there. And this is not that dark, but that's okay. And I'm just going to kind of come in and say, okay, I've got this kind of rock face here. Maybe a little bit right here. Definitely has some going on here. And you can see, I mean, this isn't that dark yet. And that's okay because it's going to change the shape of that rock right there. It's okay that it's not that dark because I'll end up adding more color to it here before it's totally dry. So I think what I'll do is take a little violet, mix that with a little of the blue, so I get that dark violet again. And I'm just going to drop that in down here. All that is quinacridone violet and indigo that I've mixed, just to give it another kind of color. And then after that has dried, I can come back in, or even before, I can come back in actually now with my number 6 round. And whoops, sorry, there we go. Sorry about that. When somebody tried, there was a call coming through and it cut the video for a second, and then when it came back on, I didn't realize it was sideways. Okay. So, yeah. So what I want to do with this is actually pull, and I think it might be easier if I can bring this down here. I want to kind of pull a couple of maybe small little cracks or something off of that. Not too much. I don't want to draw too much attention over here, but I do want it to look kind of like a rock. So that, maybe a little thing there. Let's just soften that into there. Let's see here. Seems like I had a rock over here on this side too. I think it was somewhere. Doesn't really matter. I mean, all this is just kind of a dark shape over here. Seems like that was kind of a rock or something. And I may even use a little of this violet down in here. It's not going to be super dark. As you can see, I mean, I put it on there kind of dark, but now I'm softening it back out, you know, lightening it out with a light and blending it out with a lot of water. Just a little dark right in there. Let's see. Let's pull some of that. Correct. And you know, it's not important that these look, you know, exactly like rocks or whatever. It's just kind of giving the impression of a big boulder or something. I'm gonna pull in a little. Use a little. I think what is that? Is that Scarlet Lake? Is that what that is? Yeah. I'm gonna drop a little Scarlet Lake in here just for another kind of variation in color, just so I get some nice red. You know, any red would work, or violet or pink or something, just to give it a little bit more of a pop in the color department. Maybe I want to change this shape just a bit and have this come out more. So, yeah, it kind of feels like a rock. But it's not important, you know. It's kind of over here on the edge of the painting, so it's not as important as something that's up here in our area of interest. That just gives us a nice little bit of variation. And as that dries, because I've got a lot of water on here, it'll blossom out and make some interesting interesting texture and stuff. Something like that. Yeah. All right. So I want this to be even darker. So I'm actually going to take another layer of those darks that I've got over here. So I've got my violet mixed with indigo right here. And actually what I may do is just pull in a little green into that, just to darken it up a bit. Yeah. And we'll come in with another layer of this dark kind of over that stuff we already painted. And I need to, you know, kind of think about where that pine tree is. It's okay if it blends in a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything that if you kind of lose that edge somewhat. But I do want this to be just a skosh darker than what I've already got there. Same with over here. Just knock it back a bit more. And I'm just using my number 6 brush. I probably could have used the 8 or even the 10, but this was what was in my hand, so that's what I'm using. But I am using, I'm going back and forth between the, let me zoom in on that so you can see that there's a little bit of difference. Same with over here. I'm going back between using the point of my brush and the side. So I'll paint on the side like this. And then where I was getting in here and sculpting that, I'm just using the very point of the brush. Same with that. Maybe want to change the shape of this a little bit more. So nice and dark. Here, back over here. So it's kind of getting that nice deep dark down in there. Again, from a distance, the tree, these dark pine trees will blend in with that background and will lose some of those edges a bit, but that is okay. We want a little of that to happen. So I think I'm going to dry that real quick because I do want to do a little lifting. And a little more texture going on in these trees. Right now, these are kind of flat looking. And I need to figure out, like I think this tree is probably in front of this tree because, well, or no, is that part of that tree? I can't remember. Maybe this is part of that tree. I have to decide what that is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not part of that tree. I'm going to start here because I haven't quite decided what's going on there yet. All right, so for this, I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to clean a little of my palette off so I can have some. I'm going to use kind of some darker oranges and reds for this part of the. Let's see here. And I know I'm going to use probably a little pyro orange, which is this guy here. If you don't have pyro orange, that's okay. You can just use, Windsor or Well, like mine is permanent yellow orange, but that's very similar to cadmium orange. So you could use just cadmium orange. You could mix a little. You could use a little red. I'm going to use, I think, a little Scarlet Lake as well. What this is, that's just a different red. You can see that's Scarlet Lake, and then I have just permanent red right here. So one is just slightly different than. I could even use a little, what is that? Is that quinacridone rose there, I think? That's kind of a nice kind of pink. If you don't have that, just use what you have that's kind of similar. Alizarin Crimson would be a nice one. That's this one right here, and you can see it's a little more. It's just a little darker. It's got a little more blue in it. So those are kind of nice. Just kind of mapping this out, and I may even drying out. I may even, and more than likely, I will use a little of my permanent yellow deep, which is very close to cadmium orange, or Windsor orange. If you're using Windsor Newton colors, they call cadmium. The cadmium colors are called Windsor, I think. Yeah, something like that. No, that because I can just re-wet them with the paintbrush. I'm going to start with that permanent yellow deep, which you can already see I have some of that on here. But I want to just start breaking up some of these shapes. So I see, I kind of have a clump of things going on here. So I want to add maybe a little bit more of this orange around in here. Kind of maybe there's a bit of a shadow behind there, like so. I can't stop it directly behind that part of the trunk, so I'm going to bring it over some more into there, but just pull that up. Maybe what I'll do now is go into my Pyro Orange, which looks a lot more orange, and I just dropped it in there, but now I can kind of move it around. So move that. Add up here. And then maybe this comes back around over here. So let's go back to that Pyro Orange. Really like that looks. There. And that just pushes this section of tree kind of in front of this section of the tree a little bit. You can see it just starts to make that shape. Let's take a little. I'm going to take a little of that Pyro Orange still. And, well, no, I'm going to start with the permanent yellow D, or permanent yellow orange, I'm sorry. And kind of think about what's going on down here. And I don't want to fully outline this section of tree, but I want a little bit more of something going on here. So I'm just going to kind of pull that in like so. Let's go back to that Pyro Orange. Let that kind of run in there. maybe there's a little bit of something going on here too in that shape. Just drop some in and then lift it back out with a wet brush, you know, kind of move it around. So I need to bring this down into here. And while that's still pretty wet, I want to introduce a little bit of that. I think I'm going to go with quinacridone red, which is just kind of a pink red. And I'm going to drop a little hint of that in a couple of spots. Let's see what happens. So I dropped it there and it looks, you know, just like kind of blotchy. So now I'm going to add water. It doesn't look blotchy, and let that kind of feather out. I can pick some of that up. I have a, I can get a thirsty brush. All I'm doing is kind of rolling my brush along on that. Maybe I'll go in with a little Scarlet Lake as well, just over in here. Just to help with that a bit. Soften this edge with my brush. And all I'm doing is just kind of rolling a thirsty brush along on that bit of, you know, wet paint right there. And that just picks some of it up. Just adding, this is more Scarlet Lake that I'm using. But again, you could use alizarin crimson. Let's see, I don't like how this is so straight, so I'm going to come in with some of that is like a straight shot up, so I'm just going to stop it here with some orange, but I don't want it that much. I don't want that much contrast there, so I'm going to drop that orange in, and that kind of softens that shape a little bit. So it's not just a straight line going shoot. It's now kind of curved over a little bit. Yeah, just kind of breaking up those shapes a little bit, adding a little texture. Maybe I'll come in here with a little, oops, I didn't get anything on my brush, I guess. So this is that permanent yellow orange. And I'm just going to add a little of that down in here in a couple of spots. Put some of that back up. Let's go back to that again. There's a little bit of a slight shadow here. And all this is that quinacridone orange. I want to make sure that it doesn't stop, not quinacridone orange, geez, permanent yellow orange. I want to make sure that that doesn't stop at the branch there that I have. It'll make it look weird, and people will notice that more than anything else. So I want to make sure that I take care of that. I don't know that I figured out what I was doing with this tree yet. Let's see. I want to pick up a little bit. That seems a little dark right there, so I'm just going to pick up. I'm just going to pick some of this back up. Just lighten that ever so much. Maybe that's better. rid of that line that formed right there. So really that's just, it's about adding texture with and depth with slightly darker colors in that same kind of orange, warm, the warmy, not warm, the warm orangey kind of color palette. Yeah, so I think what I am going to do is decide that I have to either decide that this is part of this tree or this is a completely different tree. And I think I want it to be a completely different tree. So what I'm going to do is bring this down, maybe continue this. So it's a shorter tree. Somewhere over here on the other side of this road is the trunk. Somewhere in here, maybe. Just kind of push it back by adding a little color on top. And let's add a little, I'm going to use a little pyro orange in here. The nice thing about pyro orange is that when you soften it with water, it turns into kind of a peachy, like peach color. It's no longer that kind of vibrant orange. It becomes kind of a salmony peach, which is kind of cool. And that's all I'm doing here, just adding a little bit of that into this. Yeah, so what I did there is I actually combined this by softening this line here and bringing this darker orange down. I ended up combining this shape here into one kind of tree shape, and this shape here into one kind of tree shape. And maybe what I want to do is actually, I don't know, I may want to feeling a little soft on that side. So I think what, it's kind of going in, feels like it has no chin. So I'm going to just pick some of that back up while it's still wet. Yep. And now that I can make look like it's part of this tree after that dries. But I've effectively pushed this stuff back, and it looks like it's a tree back there further back. So if I do, I'm going to dry that real quick just so I can continue. Ooh. Oh. There we go. And what I want to do, I think, is I want to use a little Scarlet Lake back in here. I'm going to let that kind of stay lost, that edge right there. And then I'm just going to use the Scarlet Lake over here to sculpt that side of the tree. That up in there too. And you can see, I mean, I kind of made this thick line, but now I'm going back over it on the edge with water to soften that so it doesn't look like just a real thick line of paint. And I want to push this back even more. So I'm just going to continue kind of using this Scarlet Lake, I think, back there. That'll help. I mean, it's not a particularly dark color, but because it's got a, you know, it feels a little darker to what's going on here, um, it will push that stuff back. And I'm kind of happy with what happened with these little rocks here. That actually didn't work too bad. Okay, so I need to add some more kind of stuff to sort of ground this bushy shape here. Maybe somewhat similar to that. I'm going to start with, I think, a little pyro orange since I have that out. And I'm just going to kind of, this was a little more grassy looking over there. Maybe this is going to be a little more bushy looking. So I'm just going to kind of come in with a bit of a shadow on that side, sort of dividing the shape up a little bit. And I don't really mean shadow, it's just a slightly darker area. It's a little too bright to be a shadow. So that was some pyro orange. Maybe I'll come in with a little that quinacridone red. Yeah, a little quinacridone red down in here. Because I know I used something similar over here. Maybe we'll come in. And I'm going to just let that fit. And let's come in. I'm going to use a little pyro orange over here too, maybe just to kind of get some more texture in here. And I'm kind of switching between the tip of my brush and the side of my brush to make these strokes. It's, you know, I'm kind of doing that, and then I'm doing that, which you can't really see that because I'm painting on tape, but I'm kind of using the point in a few spots, and then I'll go push down and use the side of my brush a little more. That down there, and then back to this quinacridone red. Got that in a few spots. And really all that is just a little texture to add some dimension to this shrub thing, this bush. Maybe got a little dark, so I'll just lift some of it back out. But yeah, that just adds a little dimension to that. Let's see, that's pretty dry there. What I think I'm going to do is just decide I want some trees, you know, some other tree branches. I don't want that just to be black back there or dark. So I'm going to paint some, now that dark back here is dry, I'm going to come up with a few, you know, kind of a few other trunk kind of shapes. A bit bigger than I thought. So let that sit for a second. Blot it up. And it's a little hard to see, but if I zoom in, you can see that I've now got, you know, kind of a trunk back in there. And maybe I'll have a little branch coming off like that. And There's something going from the other side over there. So block that. Oops. Put on a little more paint, or I mean a little more water, sorry. Blot that. Yeah, I've just got a couple little things of texture back there that and it doesn't really even have to look like much. It can just, you know, kind of be a hint of what's back there, and it will look like it's that thing. So a couple little lifted things there. Maybe I'll come over here and do, maybe there's something coming up in there. Another little guy here. That, and this guy has something coming off like so. Set this down while that's sort of soaking in. Yeah. So you can see as you get in a little closer, now it's got, you know, some texture down here. It needs something going right in there. Try that one more time. Yeah. You can lift right there. Let me see if I can. There we go. So as I bring the camera down, you can see that I've got this nice kind of trunk texture back there. It starts to look like something. It just basically hints at whatever that is. I do think that I need just a bit more of that periwinkle color, which I cleaned off my palette. Ooh, that's too much. Ooh. I feel like this right in here is too much white. It makes that tree look like it's not. Makes it look like there's just a bit of tree floating there. Same with right here. Just dropping in. It's not even really the same color. Yeah, see that doesn't look so bad now. It looked like it was just a chunk of something floating there because of that white that was there. I think with that little bit more right in there, in good shape. After I do the sky, I may go back in and paint. Oh, dang it! How do I get this? Let me just really quickly. Let's see here. Oops, that's the wrong one. No, I can't do that. I can't put it on Do Not Disturb because then can't do it. I was going to put it on Do Not Disturb. Somebody keeps calling, and but I can't put it on Do Not Disturb or airplane mode because then it doesn't work at all. I thought, oh, well, that'll work, but it will not. Okay. Yeah. I'm liking it. All right. So I need to work on some shadows coming across this road now. I definitely am going to have something kind of short from these rocks, and including this rock will probably need to be pushed back in space a little bit, or the color will have to be knocked back because technically it's going to, have a shadow cast on it by this larger one. So what I'm going to do is think about the colors that I have in this road, that I want in the road. And I think I'm going to start with a little kind of some violet. So I have, I have this kind of dark, slightly reddish color that I've mixed here. It's mostly blue with a little green. I'm going to add a little quinacridone, or no, permanent magenta to it. And you can see that makes that quite a bit more violet now, just by adding that quinacridone violet, or sorry, permanent magenta to it. So that's what I ended up with there. Just I'll show you what permanent magenta looks like normally. Looks kind of like that. Just by adding a little of that to my mix, I've got back to some of that nice violet. Let's see. I know that I want a little, I'm going to use a little peacock blue. We'll just drop that on top of that periwinkle that I was using. I know I'm going to use a little opera. So grab a little of that. Puddle right here. And I want all this to be fairly, and I'll use some of this kind of blue-green, but I think I want to add just a bit more earth tone to it. So I'm going to take some of this umber that I mixed up over here and add that to it. So it just gives it a slightly earthier green. It's still a blue-green, but kind of earthier. Heck, I may even use a little of that. Let's throw a little of that. Maybe just a touch of quinacridone burnt orange, just to redden it up just a bit more. There we go. If you don't have quinacridone burnt orange, burnt sienna is fine. Just adding more burnt sienna to that versus that umber color. Whoa, hello. And we'll just we'll just kind of paint some shadows. And I think Let's see, I'm going to move to my number 10 brush. And I don't need a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm going to start, I think, with this violet back up in here. And I definitely want some shadows coming across this road from somewhere. So I've got this kind of I don't even know what, this shadow really is other than just it's a shadow. Let's switch over to a little of that blue-green. And maybe this shadow will kind of come up into a lot of that. So blue-green. Let's go with a little peacock blue over here. Let that kind of blend in like so. And what I'm going to do is use these shadows as, let's see, I'm going to drop a little opera in up in here. I'm going to use these shadows to help sculpt that shape too, because they'll start to curve up. Go back to some of this dark green. And then maybe some of this violet again. And all this is just now where that shadow is coming up onto some of these bushes across the road. I think this shadow will just kind of come like so. Maybe a little peacock blue. Or something else coming back in there, kind of bushy shape. And really all I'm doing is just kind of playing around with shapes and color on this. So that was a little opera. This is a little too blue. So I'm going to drop in a little of that green. Maybe there's a little kind of bump there, a little curvy kind of thing. Let's see, let's go back to some of this. And then, so that was that dark purple. And now I'm going to come in with a little opera. Just kind of break that color up. Make this shadow more interesting. Just kind of barely run a little bit of this quinacridone. Nope, sorry, permanent magenta over that rock. So that just puts that in a little more shadow. This kind of comes through like so. It's kind of a weird shape, didn't care for it. Let's see, let's come up in here a little. So I took some of that dark violet that I mixed, and I mixed it with a little opera just to see what would happen. And I want this kind of shadow to come up into this bush just a bit more. And then down in here, we'll go back to this kind of violet. Break that shape up. I don't know what this is a shadow of, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to make it come across there. Let's see. I don't have enough water in my brush. Let's soften that edge up. So, and what I want is I want this. I'm trying to make this shadow big enough to where it can. Maybe there's a pine tree over there or something I'm catching a little bit of, so that it can come up this bank here. A little bit. That violet again. And maybe a little off. Just kind of moving the shadow around, making it the shape of it work a little bit better. Yeah, all right. I don't want to overwork that, so I'm just going to kind of stop there for a minute. Maybe add a little more opera in a couple spots. I want that to dry because then I can lift out and add in more kind of ruts and stuff. Let's see. That. So let's just soften that. So let's just dry that real quick. So I want a little, this is really bright, but these trees would be casting some bit of a shadow on them. So I'm going to go in with a little, I'm just going to use my flat brush for this. I'm going to go in with a little quinacridone violet just by itself. Just quinacridone violet, I think. And I'm just going to use a really thin wash. And if it ends up being too dark, then I can make it thinner. But I'm going to have this kind of shadow. That's not dark enough. Come up and over part of that. I do like that little pop of bright right there. So I'm just going to move that shadow. Yeah, I like that little pop of white bright going on there, but I want this to be knocked back just a bit. And then, you know, I don't know what happened there, but that's a little shadow going at, you know, kind of finishing up on this bit of tree here, but I still want some of that in the light as well. And that's all that is. It's just a way of adding a little shadow to that. I could even bring, I think this needs a little bit of help right here. So I need to soften that. That's too much. So first I had not enough, and now I have too much. But we'll just kind of bring that up over that. And all it is just a hint of a, you know, a shadow on top of those bushes. Just helps push that one back in space a little bit. Let's see here. That's a very sharp line right there that I don't want. I'm just going to take that out, pick it up with a thirsty brush. So I use just a bit of water in my brush to soften it. Then wipe my brush off, and yeah, that's a little better. Okay. How's everybody doing? Do you need me to wait for you, or?
I think I'm doing.
I could use a minute.
You could use a minute? I'll give you a couple minutes to, you know, everybody a couple minutes to kind of catch up, and then.
Michael, what color did you use within the rock? Was that kind of a
This kind of brownish color? So I took
this, the part that's right below that.
here, or this shadow.
Oh, part of the rock in that appears to be, is that pink and blue?
Oh, right there. That was, well, I had that other kind of underneath is like quinacridone gold and a little bit of burnt sienna, and then really light though burnt sienna and peacock blue. But then what I did was I kind of went over it with this when I had my brush picked up some of this kind of dark kind of purpley thing here, which has actually got some opera, and I just kind of went whoop, right over it with just a wee bit of that. So yeah, if you used you know, just a real thin wash of a violet that you have, it could even be like permanent magenta or alizarin crimson. Any of those would kind of work for what happened there. But it was just a real thin, because it used to look like this part right here, that gold, and then I just went right over it to give it a little bit of a shadow on top of it.
Okay.
And it may have even been opera that I used that was mixed with a little like peacock blue or something.
Okay.
But all that was really watered down, and I just barely went shoot with my, you know, I just went, and actually I think I was using this brush, but really it was just a quick, whatever I had loaded here, this kind of mauvey, purpley color. I just barely went over that.
I'm okay now.
All righty. So I just need to check, make sure that's dry. And now what I want to do is lift. I want to add some ruts and I want to lift some ruts. So I'm going to first lift some. So I'm just going to use my, that's the wrong brush. I'm going to use my number 6 brush. And I'm just going to I'm just going to something was on my finger there. I'm going to paint in just water, and it may be hard to see at first, but basically I'm just going to make some ruts that sort of follow the shape of this road. So as I get out here, I want them kind of along, kind of a wide, easy curve. And then in here, I want a real short, sharp curve with a long finish. So I'm just going to kind of do that. Maybe there's a rut coming that way. And I just have to make sure that I have enough water in my brush. And the great thing is, if I screw up, I can fix it. It's really easy. The rut's there. Maybe something crisscrossing like that. Actually, that one should have gone like that. That's all right. So I've painted some on there. You can even see where I pulled some over onto the lighter area. Let that sit for a few seconds there. Yeah, so you can see I've started picking up some of those. These are a little too wide, but that's okay. This is a little too narrow over here, so maybe I'll add another thing there and a little guy there. Maybe this guy will come in. So little lines up in here. Maybe another line or two. Let that all sit for a second. Now, okay, so now some of these are too big, some of them are too small still. What I'm going to do is come in. I really like how this one was kind of coming off into that, so I'm just going to kind of make a nice little stripe there. And then I'm going to add a bit of a darker shadow to the inside of this line here. Like so, maybe like that. I'll come in. This I know is peacock up in here, so I'll just kind of change the shape of that, bring that back in like so. A bit of dark to that. Bring that back down. Add some more paint over here to thin that one down. It got a little thick there on me. Let's see. This is kind of a mauve color, so I'm just going to kind of mix one up real quick. It's similar. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. Pull a little bit of it onto this side of the line. Let's see. That go like that. Just kind of comes off like that. I don't like what happened there. So let's try and pick that back up. Dry it a little bit on me. Do that. Let's see. I should have just gotten this way. What's cool is I can go back in, just add a wee bit of water right there. And even though this part is still wet, if I just deal with here, I can lift a little more of that out and then come back with that kind of green neutral color and make it thinner right there. That. And then feather that out with you know, blend it out with the brush, just water. And that just kind of comes out like so. Maybe I want to do a little more over here. I kind of have a shape coming in like that I like. But then I also have something going on here. Kind of cross each other, these ruts. Spin that one down. Let's see if you can see kind of what I'm doing here. This one I'm just going to get rid of because I don't like it. I'm just going to soften that whole thing and kind of blend it in. It was looking a little too ecclesiastic there. A little multi, what are those called? I forget what those crosses are called. It's gone right out of my head. Anyway, I'll think of it at 2 o'clock this morning or in the morning. And a little bit of a dark shadow to that rut, maybe just a bit there. I want to be careful not to overwork this. I'm really good at adding too much of this stuff, but I want enough to where it kind of looks like a well-used road. People driving up to look at the leaves change or or something. We switch over to a little peacock blue there. Because that's that color that I was using there. Yeah. That's not too bad. Maybe I have a darker red that kind of, I'm just going to mix that dark, what I've got here is this dark, you know, indigo blue purpley color. Maybe I want another dark red coming across like that. That a little darker. Maybe a couple of spots up in there. Yeah, just adding a few little darker ones in there. Like so. Soften this up a bit. It'll get covered up a little bit, I think, later. But yeah, but that, you can see that really helps flatten that road back out. Really makes it go back down into that little area down in there. All right, so let's look at I'm going to lift a little bit out of here. Now I'm going to use my spray bottle, but if you don't have a spray bottle, you can use an old toothbrush. You can either flick it, and you may need to, you know, if you need to cover up part of what you don't want water to get on, you know, just kind of cover it up a little bit. So you can either flick your brush, or you can get it wet and hit it against your finger. I'm going to use this just because I really like using this, but it's the same principle. And I'm just going to, I also, you know, I like this kind of wave that I've got going on there, but I also want to kind of break up the dark even a little bit more. So I'm just going to add a bit of texture by, make sure that's working, by spritzing on a little bit of water to lift out some of that. There you go. And we'll let that sit for a couple seconds, count to 10 or whatever. Let it soften that paint back up. And I'll probably do a little more down in here too. So that's probably good. Blot it up. Yeah. See how that added that nice texture to that? I like that. It breaks that dark up just a wee bit. I'm going to do some more right here just to give that a little texture. Let that sit for a second. Yeah. Just adds, you know, more little things where light's catching the, you know, needles and branches on these pine trees. Maybe just a hint of it. Here as well.
Just taking the whole thing off. Damn it.
Took too much?
Yeah, just I sprayed it too solid, so it just took all the paint off.
Yeah, if you're using a regular spray bottle, I would switch to like a toothbrush or something. This is that one that has it has that very dot pattern. So like if I were using
Okay.
if I were using one like this, it's not quite the same. This is a fine mist sprayer, so that could be your problem.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, because what this does is it allows you to barely push on that to get this like kind of just a spit of water coming out versus the fine mist sprayer. You have to really push it down and then it goes fine mist. This will actually do a fine mist too if I really push down on it. But all right, but you can always put more paint back down on top and try it again after it's dry. All right, I think I'm gonna do my sky. The sky doesn't need to be, in the photo that we were using as our kind of inspiration. The sky is overcast, but I don't think I want an overcast sky, mainly because I have these nice sharp shadows and things, and I may even add a little more dark down in here to kind of push that bottom portion of the tree back in. But I'm gonna do the sky a little bit, and I like to, you guys know I like to work upside down on the sky first. There doesn't need to be a lot of detail. I think it's just going to mostly be, kind of a nice cloud formation, but not a lot. So I have that little bit of pink right there. I don't know where that came from. And I'm just going to get this wet. I mean, I'll put a little bit of cloud kind of shaping going on in there, but not a lot. I don't feel like we need a lot of, with the way this is going. So I think I have enough water in there. I'm going to start with a little peacock blue, just because that's a nice blue to start with. You could use cobalt. You could use cerulean blue. You could use even ultramarine blue would be kind of a nice blue. But I'm just going to go in and I'm kind of using the tip, this kind of corner of my brush right now, right in this area, just to kind of gingerly put some paint down in there. Just kind of paint around that. I want to save that little bit of highlight a little bit. Here, I don't mind if I paint over that tree. It just helps push it back in space a little bit. Even painting over that one's fine. It's just when I get up towards this area that I want to be a little careful because I want to save as much of that highlight as I can. This ran a little bit, so that kind of helped me out. Let's drop a little more paint in there. Those trees can kind of get painted over a little bit because, again, there's some atmosphere between us and them. we go. Let me grab a little bit. I don't need, I think I've mentioned this. I don't need a lot of this. I don't need a huge cloud or group of clouds or whatever. I just want a little bit of cloud formation. So I'm just going to make that kind of a cloud shape. I don't really like that. There we go. That's a little better. Maybe, and again, don't wad up your cloud like this and just go think. Make it long and, think about cloud shapes. They're never just a little round cloud. So there, I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to switch to a round brush now and come back in with a little more and look at where I want to sculpt some of the top of this cloud. It's probably a little hard for you guys to see where it's, let's bring that up like that, where it got a little light because, or lighter because it's not, wasn't that dark to begin with. I want that to kind of come up like so. Let's come up in here. I'm continually adding water to this because I want this to stay fairly wet. This I want more blue down in here. Up a little bit too much down in here, but that's all right. Just go back in and add it. And soften that edge ever so slightly. Maybe sort of let this side get fuzzy and disappear. And I don't like what happened there, so I'm just going to paint back over that. There. That had a little point on it that I didn't care for, so I was kind of fixing that. And all I'm using right now is peacock blue at the moment. Now I will probably add, I don't even know. I may add a little shadow to the bottom of the cloud that's back there. I'm just imagining this as a, late summer, early fall. Maybe there's a bit of a storm brewing back in the back, but it hasn't gotten to the point where, all it is just a buildup of clouds. It's not really a storm yet. That's the way I'm looking at this. That was weird. I didn't care for that shape that was there. There we go. I don't really care for that sort of zoop, zoop. So I want to change the shape there. And I think I may flip this back over now. Yeah. Just pick up some of this water. And look at this again for this angle. Yeah. Let's come back in with a little more color right up into there. A little more color over in there. A little back up in here as well. See how soft those trees have gotten? I don't mind that at all. Just come back in and add a little bit of a blue shadow to the underside of that cloud right in there, and that helps define that tree a little bit more. If I have to, I can go back in if that's looking too soft, those trees, or too, right now it kind of feels like these are too evenly spaced. This one's a little off, but it's like, I don't know, it's looking a little too evenly spaced, so I may kind of change those up a little bit, but I think that's all I'm going to do for the sky right at the moment. Just I'm going to look at it a little bit. I like those, kind of white, puffy clouds. And I don't need a lot of stuff going on in the sky because I have a lot of stuff going on here. Yeah. I'm gonna dry that while it's let's see. Just soften that a bit, just a bit more. All right. And I think now is a good time to peel off this tree, the tape that I have protecting where I want these tree trunks. I see what I did there. Oh well, I can fix that. Yeah. So now I have, like these three main trunks, and then I have these kind of secondary ones back in there, which, may need a little more work. And since I want these to be aspen trees have a bit of a blue tint to them. I mean, they're kind of a creamy white, sometimes brown, sometimes blue tint. So I'm going to start with a thin wash of peacock blue. And I'm just going to use my little round brush. I'm going to start over here with this one. Let's see, do I have everything off of there? A little bit of tape right there. And I'm just going to really use a thin, like very watered down wash of this blue. And I'm just going to cover the whole trunk right now. That's all I'm doing. Is putting down this initial little bit of a wash. That. Again, if you don't have peacock blue, cobalt blue works. Ultramarine would work. This is just what I have and I like, and you can tell. I mean, there's not a lot of, you know, it's not that bright white that it was, but it's, as you can see white next to it in some spots, but it's really, really, really light. And I'm gonna do the same over here. Oops, let's kind of move that around. So and as you know, as I get up into this area of the tree, that I'm going to worry about less getting this blue on there, but because I'll end up painting it in a little dark, you know, as a darker branch. That's too much. Let's just pick some of that back up. Yeah. So I have that initial kind of blue tint. That's really the best way to describe it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's you know, that initial kind of bit. Then what I want to do is take a little, I'm going to use, I think, a little royal blue. Do I want to use royal blue? Maybe I want to. Yeah, I'm going to use royal blue. I'm going to use a little royal blue. Just clean the spot off on my palette here. A little royal blue. And maybe just a hint of, I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So I put a little royal blue down on top of that. It you know, it's mostly royal blue. But I think what I want to do is just bring a little bit of that over here and give myself a hint. I want it mostly blue, but I just want a hint of this burnt sienna in there. So that's just the royal blue. So I have this kind of interesting kind of earthy blue. And I'm just going to, one of the fun ways, so let me, well, I'm going to show you a couple things. If you've got one of these, great. If not, don't worry about it. I'm going to use, because you don't necessarily need to do it with this, but I'm going to do this first trunk with where I paint down a little bit of, you know, I lay down a little bit of paint, and then I pull it with this. This is an old Best Western key card apparently, but you can use old, like I have these, you know, weird credit card offers where they send you the plastic card in there. Use those, you know, expired credit cards as long as you cut off your number. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of just wait. That's not the right side. I forgot that I forgot the light's coming from this side, so I need to remember what I'm doing. I'm going to, I'm just going to paint this kind of dark little bit here down that trunk. And I'm going to show you how to do it with a card, and then I'll show you how to do it just with a brush. So I'm just going to kind of use this to kind of pull little, I don't know if you can see that, whole little bits of that across. Let that dry too much there. And that gives me that kind of where I want, you know, maybe there's a longer bit that comes around there. That gives me that eye kind of. Let's make sure I got enough paint or water. I mean, that gives me that kind of, you know, those eye kind of shapes that that you get on. On aspen trees. And I'm just using kind of the corner of my credit card, this little bit right there we go. Just that little corner is all I'm using on this right now. I feel like maybe this needs to kind of come up in here. Okay, so I've done that. You can also just kind of use your brush and just use the tip of your brush. So that's what I'll do right here. You know, especially after you start getting kind of smaller branches. So this spot turned out to be much thicker than that spot. So I just want to pull that in. And all I'm doing is just kind of making little tick marks next to that line, or, you know, where it kind of overlaps onto that line. And then maybe up in here, you know, maybe this branch comes off like this and does something. I don't know that I like that thing. So I've got this kind of branch coming up. There's something going on in there. Just kind of, that one I want to come all the way down into that spot. Yes, I do. So you can see I'm just, you know, really, it's not too hard to paint these tree trunks. I'm just making little tiny tick marks. To give me those kind of lines and eyes that you get from a on a aspen tree. I want to make this a little darker, so I'm just going to come over here like that. Oops, I don't know if you could see that. So just pull that back around. I'm going to do the same over here. So I've got.
What color is that?
This is royal blue mixed with a little burnt sienna. So we'll just kind of pull that up. I really like the way this credit card thing does stuff.
So do you dip the credit card in the paint?
Nope. No, what I do is I draw a little line of paint along the edge of this tree where I want the shadow to start, and then I want it to go around this way. So then I just, well, I do on the paper, I dip it in the paper and then just kind of pull it. So what I'm doing is I've got it, let's say I've got a line of paint right there on, you know, that's, and I want to pull it this way. I'm just kind of doing that. I'm scraping it along so it pulls it. Does that make sense?
I see. So you have a row of paint on the edge of the tree.
Yeah, I just painted a little line of paint along here like that. And then I go in and I just kind of pull that around. If you don't want to use the card, you can just come in and, you do the same little line of paint and then just kind of put little tick marks every so often. And then as you get up
I
into,
missed the line. I missed the line of paint.
oh, when I was explaining it earlier.
Yeah, when you were explaining it earlier, and I couldn't figure out how you were getting the paint.
On the card. Yeah. So I just paint a little bit on there. Because I'm right-handed, it's a little harder for me to pull stuff this way. So sometimes I just end up, if I'm painting a shadow on this side of the tree and I can pull that way, it's a little easier for me. If I were to turn this around again, upside down, it'd probably work a little bit better, but that's okay. See where this tree gets it comes in and gets thin right there? What I want to do is kind of pull it out. So I'm just going to paint a little water right there. And then I'll thicken it up back over here on this side. And if that doesn't work, if I don't like how that looks, I can always thin it down here as well. So let's see, I've got that real dark kind of green, blue, indigo, whatever this color was. I can kind of make this a little bit thinner here, like so. I think I like that better. So there we go. And I think I'm going to pull this V down even more into there. Just to divide that up just a bit more. So I'm just basically painting, a little bit of dark on this side of the branch, and then, just pulling a little bit of it out or pushing a little bit of it out every so often. And then when I start getting over into this area, it can just be kind of a solid thing. So maybe there's a few little, I got a bad point on my brush. I need to rework this point. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm still kind of pressing a little hard. Just kind of get some wispy little bits coming off. Just, yeah, kind of like that. We'll add a little more. I'm going to add a little bit of tick mark there. Maybe this branch comes up. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of little tick marks on that. And then so I've got that little bit of blue. Let me get this, make sure this is dry because I know I've got a lot of wet paint right there. Yeah, that's going to take a while. I want a bit of an orange cast on this now. So now that I have this kind of blue on there, I want to come in with a little permanent yellow deep. And not a lot. I'll show you what I'm doing here. I've got, let's make sure that's really cleaned out. I've got that pretty cleaned out. So I'm just going to make a nice little puddle here. But it's mostly, even though it's a smaller puddle, it's mostly water, very little paint. And when I go and put some on the tree here, basically I'm just adding a little bit of a golden glow to this. So I put a HUD on there. Let me just show you. I mean, there's too much. But then what I can do is clean my brush out and now go back over that and pick some of that back up if I feel like maybe that's not doing the trick. It's really hard to paint with just one hand. I can lift some of it back up with Kleenex if it's dried a little bit too much on me. Get it wet again. But it's got that little bit of an orange glow. Maybe I want it to have a little bit oranger look. So I'll add a little of the permanent yellow orange instead of the permanent yellow deep. Down in there. We'll do the same over here. Just add a bit of that to the trunk. So I still have those blues underneath there, but now I have a bit of this yellow kind of gold light hitting it.
Michael,
Yeah,
can we get caught up?
yeah,
Thanks.
for sure. I'm just going to finish up putting this little bit of gold on these, the permanent yellow deep on here. And then I think that's a little bit too much right there. And then it just has that bit of light. I could even pop in a little opera in a couple of spots.
Could you do your camera just close up on the trees?
Like the trunks and stuff? Like that? Or
Thank you. That's good.
cool.
And leave it there so we can see what you've done.
Oh, okay. Well, that means I got to hold it there. So, oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you could prop it up on something.
No, but I can hold it there. It's not a big deal. If I can keep my fingers out of the view.
You can probably put it down now. Thank you.
Oh, sure. No, no problem. I don't know, maybe it would have been easier for me to do that. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Oh, okay.
Yes, good.
Oh, okay. So I want to I want to add a few birds up in the sky. Just kind of, I'm just going to mix up a dark. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. I'm using a little bit of this blue, green, and a little bit of the blue, and then probably some of this guy here, just to make a nice dark neutral color. Maybe a little on the blue side. And then I'm just going to pick a couple of free spots to put a couple of three. I'll do three because odd numbers are better than. So maybe one right there. I don't know if you can see what I did. One here and maybe one down here. So there's three birds flying around in there. I could come in. Maybe I want to do set that up there for a second. I'm going to take some peacock blue and just pick up. What I did was I took some peacock blue out of there. I just kind of went, whoop, picked up a little of that and came over here and mixed a slightly darker version of that. All I did was that much and pick it up. So I have a slightly darker version of peacock blue. And let me just see here. And I think I want to add a few more little trees. So I'm just going to add one back in here. Let's see, is that focusing? There we go. Just a little hint of a tree back in there. And it's going to be too dark. So I need to pick it up a little bit with some Kleenex. But that, what all this is doing is adding a little more depth back in there, so the forest looks, you know, more than just 3 trees wide or something. So we'll just kind of come in here with a little, just a bit taller tree right in there. And again, probably a little dark, so we'll just hit it. Now it's a little too light. Just do that one more time. I'll let it dry for a second this time. I want another. Just kind of adding these. All this is doing is adding more to the depth of this, you know, this kind of forest. There we go. Maybe I want
to do this.
Let me add one more. I think maybe right in here. I don't even know that one, but I don't know that I like that one there. Maybe that one needs to be really tiny. There, that's better. You can barely see it back in there. I lifted it out, the bigger, when I painted it in bigger, I got most of it back out. And now it's just this like tiny little hint of a tree back there. But it adds depth to, it makes that forest look thicker and deeper.
You have fun.
Yeah. I do need, so looking at this now, I'm basically just we're kind of in the home stretch on this, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, this is too light here. It needs some more deeper color. So I'm going to take a little alizarin crimson, I believe. And I'm just going to put a nice kind of wash of that over this here. There's a bit of shadow or something back in there. I just want to knock that back. And then I'm going to take a little permanent magenta. And just kind of blend that in there. I still like that shape there, but I just feel like maybe it's a little too much, so I want to knock it back. Just add a little. So I took a little tiny bit of peacock blue just to really gray that up a bit. And then I want it to kind of blend here. So that's all I did there, is just kind of knock that back a bit. Pushed it back. I'm not even sure I really like that shape. I don't mind that part of the tree there, but I'm thinking that I might fix that with a, let me just dry this real quick.
Oh, like my shape either. Oh, here. Yes.
You might want to mute yourself.
I kind of want to push this back even further. And I think what I'm going to do is just put another little pine tree in there. I'm going to use this kind of dark, well, I'll use a little of the peacock blue, probably a little, maybe I'll mix a little peacock blue in with, so what I did was I have this dark blue green and I mixed a little peacock blue in with that. That gives me kind of an interesting aqua, like, I don't know, blue, green, darker aqua color, I guess, or something. And I'm just going to put another little tree right in here. And this is mostly silhouette, so I don't mind the fact that it's all kind of dark, but I think it's going to break that shape up nicely. Maybe I will mix in a little violet. So a little quinacridone violet mixed in there with some of the peacock blue. And then this tree can be in front of this other pine tree. So I'm just going to bring it down here like this. And I think that helps that shape quite a bit. Let me bring a little more of that violet down in here. Yeah. So it's a little hard to tell if you're not looking at it in person, but I've got enough of a dark on top that it reads like it's in front of whatever this stuff is. And I think that works rather well. And it just changes that shape a little bit. I didn't really care for that shape that I had. Just drop in a little more of that aqua color. Maybe I want to, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So that's a little, I feel like I need one more tree though, because I think I've got an even number now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 12. So I'm just going to add another little guy up in here. Just to add some more. And again, not a lot, just a little bit back up in there. You can see just barely up in there. Half of it will probably get covered by a mat. So, but now I'm happy I have 13 trees instead of 12. But it helps it feel a lot fuller, you know, a lot more like there's more going on. Let me just, drawing weird, so I'm just going to add a little bit more right there, just so it. Yeah, this shape was feeling weird to me, so I wanted to break that up a little bit. I think that's all right. I might come in. Maybe there's a few little grassy shape things going on here. That was a little of that aqua color. Maybe a little bit of the grass is kind of turning red because it's autumn. So we'll just kind of pull in a little of that. Maybe there's some more kind of interesting stuff going on up here. Just kind of add a little color to that. I don't really like the shapes I made, but I like the color that's there. Let's bring in a little that peacock gray mix, just to kind of, and I'll show you kind of, all I've done is just, you know, a few little scribbly things there, just to add a little texture over here. Another cool thing you can do, let me see, once that, well, I can add, so you can also add some, you know, some texture just by painting little scribbles on in the dark areas. So I just did that, just barely painted a little on. And once this gets dry, it's still wet. I may go back in later. I'm not going to waste your time because you've seen me do that. But I may lift a little bit out of that too. Yeah, and that just gives us a little more texture. You can see all this kind of stuff now, kind of wispy looking things. Yeah. And I think we're pretty close to done. Let's see. Oh, well, and it's 8:55. So let's take a look at y'all's. Just dry that real quick. Just dry that a little bit. But looking at it, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that this shape was weird. So by adding that little tree, I think that helped me out quite a bit. Yeah. Yep. I like it. Okay. All right. So let's who wants to, does anybody want to share their piece? Do we want to look at it? And,
Not tonight.
I think I'm gonna redo mine, Michael.
okay, that's okay. So let me Tommy I think is holding his up. So let's look at Tommy. Let's see, a little higher. There you go. Kind of right in that spot. It's got a bit of a glare on it, but that's all right. I think it's just from the.
Hang on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that'll help. Yeah. So pull it back just a skosh towards you. Right there. Perfect. And capture. Got it. There it is. All right, let me screen share. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Share. I think this is looking really nice, Tommy. I like, you know what I might do? I might go in and add a few. I like this. It looks, mine looks a little more like, it's at the top of something and kind of either going down or whatever. Yours kind of looks more like it's a, maybe you're coming out of a meadow or something and it's starting to go into kind of a forest. And what I would think about doing is, let me just see what I'm doing here. I might come in with, gotta name it first. There you go. I'm just going to use that gray that I have there. I might just come in and add a few more. These are, it's really hard to draw with my mouse, but a couple of like maybe there's a tree, kind of in that color. Maybe there's another one over here in kind of a lighter color. All this is doing is just, that's a terrible tree that I just did. It's just adding more density to the forest, the composition. Maybe there's a, let's see here, what am I looking for? Maybe there's a little, a smaller one kind of in here to kind of eat up some of this. And maybe that one then is, maybe this one's taller.
Okay.
Yeah, I might even add, some over, just anywhere where it feels like it needs to show a little, like you've got this one here. Maybe there needs to be another one that's somewhere in here, kind of behind all that. Just to start adding more depth. It adds more density to that, to the forest, just by adding, a few more of these little guys.
Okay. Yeah, that really turned it into a forest.
Same gray, but you know, come in and lift out some more trunks. Did I just lose my internet connection?
Can you hear me?
I can still hear you and see the picture.
You guys all still there?
Yeah, Michael, can you hear me? Yes, not.
Yeah, I think I lost connection there for a second. But you know, come in and lift a few trunks out of there, maybe even.
Yeah, I got carried away with my
Heck,
tree.
you could even put another. You could even put another little pine tree right here if you wanted, instead of lifting out. You know, I don't know, just kind of. It just adds that density to it, and then you could even, you know, if you wanted to do that little scribbly thing on some of these, just to break up this huge dart that you've got going on. You know, I would just use water and just kind of paint scribbly things on this. That's a terrible one, and then just lift it.
Okay.
On
I
some of
did that.
these, or you
I
could.
did that.
Oh, did you? It's probably just dark and I can't see it as well. Because it's just dark. I'm not, you know, not your painting, but because the, you know, with a webcam and everybody's lighting's different and stuff. Yeah, it probably just didn't pick it up. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. I like it. I like the way you interpreted this. Good job. Yeah, that'd be my only suggestion. You know, just to add some more of those lighters. Really, that's almost the main thing, is just add a few more. Now, what am I looking for? Oh, here we go. Just add a few more things, and it just makes that more dense. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah.
You sound so excited.
Well, I know it's like has a lot to be desired, but
That's all right. It's
not
practice.
right, but it's okay.
We're
All
just
right, let me get. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna try to block the light a little bit. I don't know if I can.
actually right there is not right there. Hold it right there. That's perfect. Oh, little perfect. Just hold it and got it.
Okay.
All right, I think. Yeah. Might be just a slight bit fuzzy, but that's all right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Because you know we're holding things up and it's moving around. And let's see. Oh yeah, but that's good. Kathy, I really like what you got going on here. Yeah. I really like this rock that you've got here. That's really a cool shape. Feels like a rock, looks like a rock, must be a rock.
Gotta be a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got nice kind of trees going on back up in here. I can see you've lifted out some stuff. You know what I might do? Just I don't think this needs a lot, Kathy. I think
It's hard to see. It actually looks better on my paper than on your camera.
well, yeah, I mean, I would imagine. I don't really think it needs too much. I think it's looking pretty good. I might add, well, I don't even know if I would do that. I kind of like, I might, no. trying to think of what I might do if I actually think that no, your forest looks nice and dense, I think. The light coming across here, you know, these shadows coming across, that's working really well. I might, I don't know if this is just the camera picking it up weird, but I might go in and break up, you know, you have this nice lifting out, but now I would go back in and sort of,
Put in some more dark.
yeah, I would just put in some more dark. So I know that sounds, you're like, well, I just took out a bunch of light, or just took out a bunch of dark. But all I would do is just kind of, because this is all, I mean, you've got some nice shapes going on there. I might just come in and break up, you know, just break it up a little bit more. I do that all the time. I'll lift stuff and then I'll go back in and add more dark, just because, oh, well, maybe maybe it didn't work quite right, or it was a little too much or something. But, you know, just, I may have even broken it up too much with that. Just,
Okay, I can do that.
yeah, I do that all the time. I mean, you could even go back in over here and lift some more out if you wanted to add more to this tree.
Okay. Well, I tried using the toothbrush and it took too much out. So then I added more back in. Then it was too much. And then I did toothbrush again. And that's what I came up with.
Try just doing the scribbly thing, you know, when you just try holding your brush straight up. You know, like here, I'll show you. You know, if you hold your brush like this and this is your paper, just kind of do this random little thing with the water, and then lift it up. And then if you end up, you know, if you end up with too much again, you know, break it up. You know, I just went in there and broke that up just a wee bit with a little bit more dark. You know, over here and everything. But I think that's looking really nice.
Okay.
A lot I would do differently to that, I don't think.
All right. I'll put in some birds.
Oh yeah, birds. Birds are always good.
Birds.
They're an easy way to add animal life.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, Michael, I think I'll have to look at mine just to see what to do on my next one.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me get
See, it says remove spotlight.
what happened?
I think I'm pressing record instead.
Yeah. Well, no, just you removed spotlight, but I need you to keep spotlight.
Okay.
Because that was me spotlighting you.
Oh, okay. Remember on a 12 by 12.
Yeah. Can you pull it back or pull the camera away from it just a wee bit more?
Away?
Away,
Okay.
yeah. Just perfect right there. Hold on to it and got it. All righty.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Share screen. So I think this is looking really nice. What I might do, I don't, you know, there's not a lot, but I think you could probably, if you wanted to go back in and add more, let's see here, more of these, you know, trees back in there to really just go in and add. I mean, I'm just grab that purple, but that may not be the color you want to use. You know, just to, and again, I'm doing this really terribly with this. I do have a different layer, so let me just.
I have some, but they're different colors and you probably can't see them. I don't know.
I think you had one right here that I probably just painted over right there.
And I do have two on the right of the green tree.
Yeah, I would just add more. You know, just, and they don't have to be really big, just really tiny. My brush is a little too big. You know, just little tiny. Little
Okay.
tiny guys. Just add a few more here and there. It helps build that density up.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily, you know, you may not want to use this purple that I've grabbed. I just sampled a color. You know, you may sample, you may use different colors.
Okay.
But, and then I think what I would do, I would bring the darks out a little bit more on this tree. It's,
Okay. Yeah,
you
when I sprayed it, it took a lot of the color off.
oh, did it? Yeah.
Lighter too. Okay.
Yeah. I would, it just, he's a little too, he's got this kind of fat base and then he's kind of thin all the way up.
Yeah.
So I would just,
Okay.
I'll kind of change up the shape a little bit again, but
That'll be easy to do.
yeah. And then, let's see, where I had another thought and I can't remember. I think the main thing, oh, here we go. I've zoomed in, that's why. I like your rocks. These are really cool looking. They look like rocks. I mean, you've got a good kind of rock shape going on there.
It looks so vibrant on your camera, the way I'm looking at it.
Oh.
Oh, maybe it is that vibrant. I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. You know what I might do just with, let me just add let me just do this. I might go in, let me find a better brush. Let me try that one. Maybe that'll work. I don't think it will, but if I might go in and add a bit more color variation in your road. Just pull some. Yeah, see, that's not a great brush. Let me find. It's hard to. Here we go. Is that what I want? Oh, here we go. Let's see what we got. These never look like you want them to look, but. Oh, that's way too big. But, well, that's now too narrow. I would go in with some different, you know, kind of some of these colors that you use, and just add a bit more. Wait, what's going on with that? Maybe if I. Nope, not liking it. Never mind. I don't know how to explain it. I could show you. Essentially, just kind of dry brush some of these yellows and reds and stuff on there. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So just, you know,
Not shaded
I'm sorry, what?
part that's not shaded.
Yeah, the parts that isn't shaded. So like in here, like imagine that's a better brush shape. I don't even know what that is. And let's see if I can. And a whole slew of different. Yeah, see, the blur's not going to work. A whole slew of different. Whoa, that didn't do anything. Okay. That just took it out. A whole slew of. Let's try that one more time with a slightly smaller blur. Yeah, just kind of dry brush it on there. See how it's just a little flat looking, and that could just be what's on my, the way it's picking up the way the camera's picking it up. It may not look like just that simple, almost monochromatic wash, because I can see you have some other, some pinks and stuff going on in there. But I might just dry brush on a little bit of color. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay.
And then over here, this is a bit of a sharp. This is a bit sharp, so I might. Break it up with some. I don't know. I might just break that up, just soften some of that edge a little bit. Does that make sense? Just go in with a wet brush. Let me just get rid of that. I would say just go in with a wet brush and just, ooh, that's weird. What am I doing here? What do I've got? 90%. I don't know what kind of brush I'm using here. What is normal kind of?
Are you saying soften the road?
Yeah, just soften this edge right in here. Wow, that's terrible. I need to find the right brush to, oh, here we go. General brushes. There we go. Just kind of soften this line here.
Okay.
Just go in and kind of fuzz it out with some water. It's hard to do on a computer, but just make that a softer line.
Got it.
Yeah.
Already did it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I would just soften that. It just felt a little too sharp. You could even soften some of these if you wanted, not all of them, but soften a little bit, then leave that line, and then maybe soften, leave the line, and soften as you get close to the edge.
Okay.
Over in here, just soften.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit there. That's terrible, but leave some of it and then just soften some of it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah, that ought to do it. I think that's looking good.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the end of June sometime.
I think it's. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you're not making the first class.
I'm going to be in Maui, but I won't have room to take my paints, I don't think.
Oh,
No
yeah.
class next Monday.
No, I think this was the last one. If I look at the, let's look at that thing again.
And then when do we start again?
We start up on. Let's see. Let me go back one here. Let me share this. Share screen. So let's see here. Today is the 24th. Yes. So this class ends today, and then the next one picks up on the 7th of June.
7th of June. Okay.
Yeah. And it goes through August 2nd.
Sounds good. I'm gonna get that book ordered.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good book. I really recommend it. I wish I could have found my copy, but it's not up in my shelf up here.
Great. You have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
See you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay, Michael.
All righty. What am I looking
Okay,
for?
Michael.
Yeah.
Can I have you look at this again? I've done a little bit of changes.
Sure. Let me look at Becky's.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. No, I'll just wait till the last.
Yeah, for sure. Let me get that. Okay, actually pull it back to where you were a little bit from the camera there, Becky. Oh, not quite that far, but oh, I see. Oh, hey. There we go. Yeah, just right there. Perfect. All right, I got
I turned off the overhead and it made it so it had color.
it. All right.
Going.
Little blurry, but I think it'll work.
You want to try it again?
Yeah, let's try it one more time. It's a bit blurrier than I thought. So let me make you the wait. Where did it? Oh, there we go. Let me get this thing going. Come on. All right. Hold it steady right there. All right. I got it.
Wow, that's loud.
All
Woo!
right. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah. All right. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at.
I sure can't. All I can see is myself.
Okay. Let's. You know what?
Turn my camera off, so hopefully I won't contact.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I think I don't know if you were able to. I'm going to kind of zoom in on this area right here. I don't know if you were able to go in and kind of lift some of that back out. Some of those shapes back in there. So let me just go back to a normal that, and let me just sample that.
I painted over. So you want to lift out?
Yeah, I would take just some water and paint it in, paint some trunk shapes coming up just in these darks here. That's a terrible, there we go.
Okay.
And then, so you just paint water there, leave it down for a few seconds, maybe count to 10, just kind of here. And then blot it dry and then scrub it with the rag. And it'll just lift it up.
Right.
It'll make it light enough to where it looks like there are some other, tree things back in the back there. And then,
Perfect.
yeah. My only thought here is this is a little thick.
I made my trunks way too fat.
Yeah, yeah. You can thin that down though if you come back in. You might have to do a little lifting. But if you, wow, that was not a good color. Let's see, there we go. Well, that's even still kind of green. Yeah, it's just the light. You can, you might lift some of that back out, and then what you can do is come back in with some of that orange or some of that yellow and orange and stuff, and just, kind of thin those down just a bit in here. See how,
okay.
And it could be like this one will probably have to come over here. It could be that, you won't ever totally lose that. And then over here for this one, you can actually just thin it down by pulling, this color over more, and just make it a little Just do that. A little, whoops, that wasn't quite right.
I don't want it quite that skinny, but
Yeah, but just kind of do that.
okay.
And that'll thin it down a little bit. Here you can do a little of that too. Just pull in a little of this dark blue that's next to it and just thin that down. Although this one's not too bad.
Right.
I might also, if you can, I might see if I could scrub out a little of one of these guys and then put some,
Where
bring,
are you?
up here on this center tree, just cover up,
Oh, okay.
scrub some of that out, see if you can, and then add some yellow over the top of it, like so.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And even if you can still see some of the trunk through it, it's okay. Add the orange and the yellow and the, whatever. You may need, and you may need to use the darker orange and stuff, but that'll just kind of break that shape up a little bit, I think, and make it feel like it's inside the leaves instead of just on top of them.
Okay.
But yeah, that's looking pretty good. I like all these. You've got all these little, that's making the forest look real, real dense because you have all these little trees peeking out and stuff. If if that doesn't work, it's not the end of the world because it doesn't look bad. It just they're just a little heavy, and that will help push them back into. You might even see if you can't lift some of this area out as well, and then put some orange and yellow over the top of it. Does that make sense?
Where are you?
Right here, still on the center tree.
Oh, okay.
See, just
Oh, I see. Yeah.
yeah, right in this area right here.
Yeah.
Just kind of breaks that up, and then it helps that feel like it's inside the leaves and stuff.
All right.
But yeah, this is looking really nice, Becky.
The road and stuff's okay.
What's that?
You like the road and stuff? It's all right.
Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I might add a few more sharp, like dark lines, so they don't have to be very big. In fact, the you just want some little fine lines. So let me get to the right. So use your smallest brush and just kind of go in and add a few. Again, please don't do exactly like I'm doing because I'm using a mouse and it's hard. But you see how I've added just a few little, I don't know. Those aren't very good. So don't maybe do what I just did. But, just to add a few little darker ones.
Okay.
In there. Maybe not even that many that I just did, but that'll help add just a little more texture to the road. But other than that, it's looking really good. I like what you've done.
All righty then.
Cool. What am I looking
Thank
for?
you.
Oh, you're welcome. That was weird. Yeah. All right. Well, Kathy, you wanted me to look at yours one more time. Right? I think you're on mute. And you,
Okay,
there we go. And then your camera.
okay, hang on. Let me see if I can move this so you get a better picture. Okay, did I do it?
Well, I don't think your camera's on.
Oh, okay, now it is.
Now you're on. There we go.
All right, just a minute.
Let's see. Pull it back just a skosh more. All right. Right. Hold it right there. Got it. All right. I got a tickle in my throat. So
I get it all the time. Pickles.
Yeah. There we go. Golly. I'm trying to remember what I told you to do.
Okay, you said to put more scribbles in the dark and add dark to
Yeah,
the left side.
Where did you go?
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you did exactly. Okay, let me share. That's what I need to do. I'm looking at it and then okay, how did that get moved way up there? Yeah, I like how you, let me zoom in on that. I like how you broke that up. You know, you had that nice lifting out, but it was just a wee bit too much.
Yeah,
Coming in with a little bit of dark just broke that up enough to where it reads like trunks and stuff. And then this is kind of nice what you've done in there. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. I think that's great.
okay, and on the left-hand side, I tried to make that little pine. I tried to push it back and then add more foliage coming down
Yeah,
in
right,
front of it.
right in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that works. I think that looks good.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be happy with this.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Clouds are okay. I don't know if you can see them very well, but I.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, that's a nice cloudy sky.
Okay.
Got some good cloud shapes going on in there.
Okay.
Add your little
All
bird.
right. I'll put the birds in.
And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I like this stuff. Did I talk about this that you've got going on right here? This texture, you know, it could be rocks, could be bushes, it could, you know, it's part of this slope here. That looks really nice. I like what you did there.
Hey.
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, nicely
All right.
done. All right. Well, I guess that's everything, everybody that wanted to show me. So with that, I'll wish you guys a good rest of your week, and we'll see you on the 7th, I guess.
All right.
So yeah, in a few weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a nice evening.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.